All right, everyone. Today we are, or I am starting on figuring out where my clutch fluid leak is coming from. Very leaky clutch fluid, losing it all the time. Saw some of it in the last video. But in the meantime of getting everything set up for recording today and getting my motorcycle jack that I use for a transmission jack because it's a nice, flat, wide platform, I found my other T-handle for my valve cover. So I'm going to throw that on real quick and maybe, just maybe, we'll stop leaking oil from the valve cover. Don't know. With my luck, probably not. I think I need to get some, I think they're called torque spreaders or something, goes underneath or on top of the stud, underneath the T-handle, and just basically a big wide washer. So we might try that later on. But for now, I'm going to throw this back in, and then we'll get to the transmission and clutch boy. Yeah, so looking, you can see, obviously, active leak. Pretty bad. It's gotten pretty bad. You can see it dripping off bell housing, off the hoses. I'm hoping that it's just going to end up being a loose connection at the cylinder that's leaking, and hopefully not a hose that's gone somewhere and is getting worn off and cut, because I'd rather not have to rerun hoses. But to get an answer, I'm for sure going to have to take my transmission off the engine, scoot it back, and figure out what the hell's going on. So, going to start with getting my drive shaft disconnected. Let me get some more light going here. Uno momento. There we go. So we'll get the drive shaft disconnected. Then the front drive shaft. I think I can, I don't know, with the exhaust and everything, I might just have to drop this one pipe. Drop that one pipe off the flange there so that it can hopefully move out of the way, because I'd rather not separate the T-case and the transmission if I don't have to. And obviously my shift arm and wire harness potentially. So, yeah, we'll get going on it. My bad, I forgot about the cross member, which also includes my, I think they're called kicker rods from the lift kit. But that'll be easy. That'll just be the nut and bolt. Those arms will drop down on the way and take the cross member out. And then the mount. And hopefully everything will slide back just enough to get a good view up in there and figure out what's going on. Alright, so we got everything off after some shimmying around. I actually have the transfer case up and over this exhaust pipe because the exhaust shop welded the mounts to the frame for the pipe, so it can't really completely drop it, but I can get out of the way, do some shimmying. Took the shift tower off, and we got it obviously pulled back pretty good and far. Everything's out of the way. Pulled the actual bearing, just kind of presses on to the cylinder for this all-in-one slave and bearing assembly. And unfortunately, it would seem the more likely the leak is coming from the O-rings inside the piston, because if I press in, hopefully the cam picks this up, or the mic picks this up. Can hear air sucking that way, the fluid squishing that way, which is kind of interesting given it's just a pressure one-way piston, and you know the pressure plate would push it back down. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go see how soon I can get new O-rings for this, because I know I can get new O-rings. That's kind of the reason why I bought the systems, because Ram Clutches says that, you know, they sell service kits for it, so that's cool. Next thing I need to do probably is route the hoses better, because there's a little bit of a rub mark here. It doesn't look like it's rubbed all the way through at all. So yeah, it looks like it just touched the braiding a little bit there. So probably route it better. The other thing is, more than likely I need to get a better straight edge than what I had when I set up the shims, because I did have to use all the shims in the pack that came with it. for the measurements I got with probably not the straightest of straight edges. So maybe I need to take a shim out. Maybe I need to find some way to add more shims since I have kind of a weird application given the NV4500 transmission to a big block. I mean, it fits on the shaft. It's just the bell housing so deep. Maybe the clutch is too shallow. It would be funny if this would be a good excuse to get a bigger, thicker clutch, but might take the pressure plate off too, inspect the clutch. Might see if I can see if there's actually clutch fluid in the inside the pressure plate with a borescope or something. It's very obviously all around the bell housing. In fact, whenever I scooted this back, a good amount poured out, so it's been leaking pretty bad. Obviously, I mean, I've had to fill it up I don't know how many times just to go drive Fireball around and get some shit done. So she might be down for, I don't know, maybe a week. Depends on how soon I can get parts and remeasure everything. Another thing I could do to be double sure is I was thinking I could probably throw some zip ties around the piston, make sure it doesn't overextend, and then probably get my dad or someone to come over to come and hit the clutch pedal, because the whole clutch system's still hooked up right now, which is also kind of why I wanted to do this system, because that's it. That you just run hoses to the piston there, the bearing sits on there and does all the work. It's adjustable with the little thing up top, and I mean, yeah, I had to get a weird master cylinder to make it work, but it works pretty damn good, besides I somehow caused the leak. But that's about it for tonight. I think I'll upload this whole video as one whole video, not do a part one, part two. So we'll see you guys later, and hopefully I got good news. All right, parts came in a little early. It was saying Monday, Tuesday, and here it is Saturday. We got parts. We got inner and outer O-rings. Then we also got the wipers. It came with some lubricant for putting all that back in. I picked up an actual straight edge, some different calipers. I wasn't sure how deep I needed to go for the, don't know how deep my bell housing is off the top of my head, but we got our paper here for all of our measurements, so I just got to go and get the pressure plate, clutch, and flywheel off, and then I'll be able to go and measure all this again. I might take the bell housing off the transmission. I'm not sure yet. We'll see how easily I can get in there and measure what I need to measure. So, because I just need to measure from the face of the housing to the face of the bearing. So we'll see if I can do that under the truck. Well, the plot thickens a little bit. I came down here to start working on everything, tearing everything apart, and I noticed, because I had this hanging off of here for getting to it, I was going to take the lines off, and I noticed those have been getting worn down, and it's leaking from this one where it got wore off. Not really the seals of the piston. So I guess I can save myself the time of doing the seals. I need to figure out how to get these lines out of the way, and I'm pretty sure what it's rubbing on is this lip of the pressure plate, which I did not anticipate that being a problem, because whenever you set the bearing on here, hang on, let me get the bearing on there. All right, now I got the bearing on there for show and tell. Did not anticipate that being a problem with those lines wearing, because you put up there and there's a whole bunch of room, and that's with the piston all the way out. But obviously, as the pressure plate fingers actually get pushed in, that's going to sink down in there. So this is probably, or potentially, still an issue if I have the wrong amount of shims in there. Maybe I'm overextending, which I'll probably still replace the seals on there anyway, just to be safe. So maybe I'm overextending, and that's why those lines are hitting the pressure plate digging into the lines. So I need new lines, which sucks because this one line's really long. I think actually I might have it split somewhere. I don't remember. So yeah, I gotta figure something out here with the lines, and then also do my measurements. So I'll still tear everything apart and get my measurements checked. But I need more parts. As I said, plot thickens. Did not realize that the other day when I was in here. I wonder. I'll see it whenever I'm putting the video together, editing it and everything. If that was obvious in the other shots, and I just didn't notice it. But at least I noticed it this time, so that's cool. All right, got the bearing all disassembled. Got my O-rings out. No wipers inside the housing like they're supposed to be. I'm starting to wonder if I got sent the wrong bearing from Summit, because on the Ram Clutch's website, the HD model is also supposed to have a snap ring on the piston tube, whatever the hell it's called. So we'll see if those O-rings match up. If not, I need to figure out how I got the wrong thing, because I checked the order. It says the 25 whatever HD on the order, so I don't know if maybe the model changed. I don't know. I'll have to look into that. But not important right now. What's important right now is checking out the O-ring. Hopefully the camera picks it up. There is a pretty good gouge in that O-ring. All along this edge. It's gouged out. I'm working with a very tiny viewfinder on this camera, so I'm not sure what all I can see. So yeah, definitely need to replace that O-ring. Definitely need to fix or replace my lines. And then check all my measurements. So, fun times. All right, got the new fittings in. Probably help if I didn't have a shadow in the way. New fittings are in. Nice 45-degree angle. They obviously couldn't dive straight back because they'd hit the back of the bell housing, transmission, all that fun stuff. But we do have, let me get the camera worked around here, pretty good tight fitment. Should help keep it out of the way of that pressure plate ridge. And then as long as my better measurements are better, then hopefully those are the right shims behind it. We'll figure that out. And to help with that, I went ahead and cut open a damn whole window where the slave cylinder used to go. And I have the idea to use those old slave cylinder mounting bolt holes to design and 3D print a dust cover, so that won't be just a massive gaping hole. I am, however, missing the actual dust cover for the front bottom. Maybe I can find that. I think I saw it somewhere a long time ago, but yeah, that's back in there. I just gotta get the flywheel and clutch and everything put back on that side and put the transmission back together. Not too bad. We'll get that done sometime this weekend, more than likely.
So in this clip, I just have borescope looking at the pressure plate, make sure it comes all the way off. I did have to put all the spacers back behind the throw bearing because doing it how the instructions said to do it with that 0.2 of an inch gap, it would overextend and actually throw that piston off of the cylinder, or however you want to look at it. So that measurement has to be for cars or something, and for the truck, I need it to be closer.
Our hoses do not contact the pressure plate ring like the old ones did. They dive perfectly out of the way. Sweet. One final check for bearing to fingers. If I barely touch the pedal, I do see some movement before I feel resistance. You can kind of see there is space between the fingers and the bearing, so it should stop spinning or barely spin when disengaged, so it shouldn't wear out too fast. Alright, well, got her back together and went and drove her. Went and picked up some free fence for some more backyard projects. Don't have clutch fluid leak anymore. A little bit of an oil drip still from the oil pan, but also no leak onto the header anymore. Header is nice and dry now, so that extra bolt into the valve cover stopped that leak. So then I just got a bit of an oil pan leak. That's not too bad. I can deal with that later. But I also have some clips from my phone with the borescope I'm going to splice in here, show everything working properly. Went and drove it, and the clutch fluid's still completely full. No leaks. It works just fine. Had to put all the spacers in behind it, but that's fine. It'll work. So yeah, that's about it for that. Next thing for the truck, honestly, I forget. I'll have to figure that out. But until next time, we'll see you dudes.